All right, good to have you with us here on Breakfast this morning here on eNCA. I'm Gareth Edwards, and what a pleasure it is to have Miss South Africa Shudufhadzo Musida joining us for breakfast, not just here for an ordinary chat. We've got some beautiful French cuisine which has been brought to us this morning by Mandla Dlamini, the man standing on the far side. From just Teddy. I'm going to speak to you in a moment, Shudu, about one or two changes when it comes to Miss South Africa. But first, while we enjoy the breakfast, the reason it's French, Mandla, of course, is because we have the French president here today. But here's what I wanted to, and I want to clarify this for viewers at home. I am having a, can you find me on camera somewhere? I'm sure there's a camera somewhere. I'm having a piece of baklava.
That's a baklava.
And before Heidi Jokos, our colleague, our reporter, who has a Greek heritage, is going to start yelling at me and tweeting me that this is actually, there we go, thanks, David, is going to be tweeting me saying, Gareth, baklava is Greek. Mandla, help me here while I eat.
So basically, we can say, let's just give the whole, not the whole benefit to the Greek side as well, but you have to look at it this way as well. So our baklava, right, so it's half French, half Lebanese. So the way it's made, so the one thing that we did, there's chocolate inside, we put chocolate inside and pistachio and rose water inside. So I guess in a Greek way, they make it in a different way as well. But to our side this way, to the French and Lebanese side, you always try to change the whole thing and try to spice it up and some rose water inside there.
Shudu, let's come back to you and talk about the new Miss South Africa. And the reason I'm raising it, we spoke about it earlier. I'm taking a look at the Sowetan newspaper this morning. SA Crown beckoning again for hopefuls. It feels a bit early to be putting the call out for the new Miss South Africa. I mean, you've barely gotten halfway through it, and now they want to give it to somebody else. I mean, is this how early the search starts for the Miss South Africa?
Yeah, because last year for us, it started around May. So by the time the entries are in, it will be around June. So it gives the entrants or the finalists, the new finalists, time to actually get to learn the process of being Miss South Africa, to get to know the organization, to get to know what it means to be Miss South Africa. Because I am thankful that throughout our entire process, which was 5 months, so it started around June, ended around October when the crowning was done. But the 5 months that we had was so crucial to know what to expect when you get into to these shoes.
Very briefly, what is the process? How do you start that? Once I'm assuming you've entered or you've applied. I'm sure there's a better way of saying that. What happens? Do they phone you? What's the process briefly?
So we got a phone call, if I'm not mistaken, telling us, hey, you've made the top 35. But you couldn't tell anyone, so I had to keep quiet around the house the whole time. I couldn't even tell my mother. but I told my little sister, I'm like, don't tell anyone though. And then they're like, no, we're going to have top 35 interviews. And then you have the interviews. And when you get there, you're expecting like for them to catch you out or something like that. But it's a simple conversation when they just really want to get to know you. I think that's what I loved the most about it, the comfortability that we had when we were doing the interviews. From there, they cut it down. I'm not sure what they're going to cut it down to this year, but for us, it was top 15. Then we did the shoots with the introduction, and then there was the top 10. And I think that's when everything actually like properly began, because that's when the personal development started coming in. Every Tuesday and Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, we had talks with a group called the Firepower Group, the life coaching group, where you basically get prepared to know that authenticity is the best thing that you can put forward in this competition. Knowing yourself is quite important, but the most important thing about entering Miss South Africa is knowing your why. You know, why you're entering. Yes, the glitz and the glamour, everything, but then you need to know why you're entering. What is your cause? What is your purpose? Because those questions eventually, on the final night, they all come together when you're being asked questions by the judges. If you know your why, then you'll know how to answer the questions.
Whenever it comes to doing, and young journalists learn this early in their years, you get the 5 W's and the H, the who, what, when, where, why, how. And always, I remember every lecturer of mine, Shudi always said, it's the why that is the most. If you can answer that question, everything else can make sense. I'm going to come back to you again as we continue our French breakfast here on eNCA. The French president is in the country, Mandla Dlamini. We're going to talk about how to make a croissant. Am I saying it right? A croissant? I don't know. I think it's how you say it. a little bit later. But we're going to talk about one of the big headline stories this week, the Miss South Africa pageant opening to transgender entrants. So we're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes from now, as I ask Miss South Africa 2020 to stay with us, to enjoy the tea, enjoy the breakfast, as she stays with us here on eNCA. Let's take